Okay, time for a new video, and whether you are somebody new to my channel or you are returning to my channel to watch this video, it is greatly appreciated. As always, I'm filming this video in one go, so if I stumble over my words moving forwards, apologies about that, and also apologies if the quality of this video is fairly poor as well. If there's any lag, anything like that at all, sadly it can't be helped, and hopefully it is not too much of an issue for you. This is yet another Eurovision 2024 related video here on my channel, and today I am going to be telling you my rough, not to be taken at all very seriously, prediction for the semi-finals running orders. Now, I was taking a look at older videos on my channel yesterday, working out exactly when we had the official running orders for last year's Liverpool staged semi-finals, and I think it was around about the 22nd, 23rd of March. As I'm recording this video you're watching now, it is the 16th of March, so I really want to get this video out of the way, of course, before the official running orders come our way. So over the past 24 hours or so, indeed, really, over the past week or so, before we even had the full lineup of songs, I have been working on my semi-finals running orders predictions. Semi-final 1, which has 15 nations involved, semi-final 2 on that Thursday in May, with 16 songs. And over the past day I've been checking out lots of videos online. A few people have been doing their rankings of the songs in each semi-final now that we have the full lineup. Some people have been making predictions for the running orders themselves. I've been watching those, and I've just taken lots of different bits and pieces into consideration, and I've come up with a prediction that I'm fairly happy with. Of course, this is not to be taken too seriously, it's just a bit of fun. I've been doing this sort of thing, because I'm a little bit of a nerd, for years and years before I even started my YouTube channel. And so it will be interesting to see if any of these are remotely accurate, but in all honesty I am expecting this to be completely inaccurate, and that's completely fine. You're very welcome to let me know your own predictions for the semi-finals running orders if you so wish by leaving a comment down below, and do feel free to check out the links in the description, they're always there, to my other social media pages if you so wish. So, semi-final 1 of this year's competition is on Tuesday the 7th of May, and as I just said, 15 nations are involved. They'll all vote alongside Germany, Sweden and the UK, and those performances by the acts in question will be somewhere in the running order. So we will have Isaac, we will have Marcus and Martinez, we will have Ollie Alexander performing their tracks in full live at some point during the first semi-final. Now, I haven't really taken that into consideration at all, mainly because it was just going to make things a bit more complicated in my opinion. And also, I don't really care about the automatic finalists performing their songs in full live in the semi-finals at some point. I'd rather that happened after all of the semi-finalists have performed, but there we are, during the voting, something like that. It is what it is, once again, the format being tinkered with for no apparent reason. But I've got my corkboard here, and this is going to be a very messy video, so bear with me. I might be repeating myself numerous times. I have all of the slips of paper. Semi-final 1, the countries in question are on these peachy coloured slips of paper. Semi-final 2 in green, and then the automatic finalists are behind me. They're on blue bits of paper. So, the first half of semi-final 1, we've got a good mix, and whenever I think about running orders, I'm thinking about just the song, really, and nothing else. I'm thinking about whether it's a pop song, maybe a bit more of a rock song, whether it's a ballad, whether it's up-tempo. I'm not really thinking about previous running orders or anything like that. I don't think they really play a part in the real decision-making that happens behind the scenes. And then I'm thinking about maybe the gender of the musician in question, you know, male, female, whether it's a duo, a band, non-binary. We had a few non-binary acts this year. So I've been taking that into consideration a tiny bit as well. The language of the song, you don't necessarily want loads of English language tracks in a row if you can help it. And also, I suppose, I'm just thinking about the flow of the show. So something that I might do, and this is what I've been doing over the past day or so, is I've just been going through the songs one by one in the order that I have to see if it just flows very nicely. Sometimes you have a bit of a lull in proceedings, sometimes you might have some very expressive entries all bunched together for some reason, and I'm not always a big fan of that, so I've tried to break it up as best I can. Anyway, with all of that in mind, let's crack on with this prediction. So, my prediction to open semi-final 1, a lot of people have said Lithuania. Now, for me, Lithuania's entry, it's very moody. You know, it's like, it's a very sort of moody song. How else can I describe it? And I don't feel as though that would be a sensational opener to the semi-final. If it happens, fine. It's not a bad song, not a bad performance, so I'm not going to be mad about it one bit. But I think to open a semi-final, you need something that maybe is quite light and fun, shows off that impressive stage we're going to have in all its glory. And so that's why I've gone. You can't really see this at all, but believe me when I say, oh blimey, believe me when I say that there is back to front. It says Cyprus. These have all gone wonky now, that's fantastic. Cyprus, Cilia Capsis with Lyre. It's just pure pop, really. It's in English. It's very accessible. I think it could be a very good live performance. And I think it will get the crowd fired up for what's to come. Ideally, you want to start a semi-final, or indeed the final, with something that just gets people very excited for what's coming up next, if you see what I mean. After Cyprus, well, like I said, Cyprus, it's a pop song, no doubt about that. So maybe you go for a ballad next. But really, we don't have anything much like a straightforward ballad, I suppose. I mean, Ukraine, possibly. Serbia is the only one that I can really see. But we've just had a female act perform. Okay. Maybe we go down the double upbeat route instead, where we have an up-tempo song followed by another up-tempo song, and then song 3 is maybe where the first ballad comes into play. I'm really rambling big time now. Long story short, I have gone for another up-tempo track and another female act. Poland song 2, this is Luna with the Tower. This is up-tempo like Cyprus, but it's just a different feeling, you know. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually go for intriguing staging, in the sense that you'll remember the music video for the Tower. There's that moment where she's almost like a puppet Luna with all of the ribbons coming out of her. I can't quite remember, but if they try and recreate that live, that's obviously going to stand out. It's going to feel very different from what's gone on just before in terms of Lyre by Cyprus. Then song 3, we're going to have Lithuania. The first male act, Sylvester Belt. After 2 female acts, it's nice to have a male act come along. This is Luktelk, moodier, darker. You know, Lyre and the Tower, they feel quite uplifting to me. Luktelk feels a lot more serious almost. But anyway, that goes in position 3. And then it gets a little bit muddy, because I didn't really know where to place 1 or 2 of these other countries. But song 4 is Ireland. That's also a moody track. Bambi Thug, non-binary, Doomsday Blue. I'm very, very interested to see how this is going to be staged, whether they're really going to ramp up the gothic factor or not. The national final performance we had a couple of months ago, I didn't love it, but there were hints as to what might come down the line. Song 5, I mean, we have 3 songs left in the first half now. Croatia's track is so different from Ireland, and very expressive. And I'm just a bit concerned that if you have Ireland and Croatia next to each other, it's a bit like Whiplash, you know. You haven't really got time to calm down between the two before there's another assault on the senses. So I've gone with Ukraine, Aliona, and Jerry Hale with Teresa and Maria. Really nice song, absolutely a contender for the win still, if you ask me. And if Ireland's a little bit too aggressive and angsty for some viewers, Ukraine, I think, is a lot more melancholic, slows things down, maybe a little bit more of a palate cleanser, if you see what I mean. Following Ukraine, let's ramp it up again, because if you weren't a fan of Ukraine, you might really be a fan of Croatia. Now, some people might be thinking, oh, hang on a minute, Ukraine and Croatia could be the top 2 in this semi-final. I don't think having them back-to-back really matters. I really don't. Of course, there could be one of those automatic finalists. Maybe we could have Germany involved in between Ukraine and Croatia, and then maybe it's not going to feel too bad. But anyway, Baby Lasagna is up next. Song 6, Rim Tim Tagi Dim for Croatia. Probably the winner of this semi-final. If it's anything like the national final performance, you know it's going to be very vibrant. The crowd will be really fired up. And then we'll have Serbia. So again, just sort of slowing it down. So we've gone from, well, if we start from the top, female, female, male, non-binary, duo, both female, male, female. So it's nicely broken up. English, English, Lithuanian, English, Ukrainian, English, Serbian. Again, the languages are broken up as well. To be fair, most people will be able to sort of separate these songs into some sort of order without too much difficulty. But yes, Ramonda will close the first half of semi-final 1, and that is, of course, Teodora. Moving into the second half, so we've ended the first half on a bit of a ballad, so let's liven things up for the second half. It's like you're starting from fresh. So I've plumped for Iceland. Now, some people might be saying Iceland could close semi-final 1. To me, that could certainly happen, but I don't think it's strong enough to be a show closer. That was my thinking here. Iceland will get the second half of semi-final 1 underway, Scared of Heights by Hera Björk. It's uplifting, it's quite feel-good, it's not particularly strong, but some people will really enjoy this. Remember, neutral viewers, neutral listeners, they might enjoy this for what it is. After that, a bit of a change of pace. Moldova follow Iceland. That's In the Middle by Natalia Barbu. Don't really have too much to say about it. Don't see it qualifying. And then we have Azerbaijan. And obviously we only had the Azerbaijani track released yesterday. At the time of recording this video you're watching now. Didn't really know where to put them. Part of me feels as though this could be on a lot later. Maybe the penultimate song, sandwiched between two far more up-tempo efforts. We'll get to the song that I have much later on in just a moment, of course. But yes, Azerbaijan, it's not a bad song whatsoever. I don't think it's a qualifier at this stage, but you never know. Iceland, Moldova, Azerbaijan. Some people might see that as a bit of a dull start to the second half of semi-final 1, but it is what it is. Anyway, Azerbaijan feels quite traditional. It has some of their own language. That's very nice. Now we need to just, you know, lighten it up a little bit more. It's sort of like a wavelength, the way that you think about this sort of stuff. Luxembourg's next, Tally with Fighter. Again, some people think Luxembourg could close the semi-final, returning for the first time in decades. It might be a nice thing to put them on last. But I just find the song strangely flat. Still, it's been out for ages, but I find the song strangely flat, and I'm still not sure it's a qualifier at all. But anyway, Luxembourg go there. That song is then followed by Veronica by Raven for Slovenia. This could be on slightly later. And if there is to be a bit of a surprise maybe, and we don't get a fairly up-tempo song closing the first semi-final, then maybe it could be Slovenia. You know, the music video, if that's perhaps recreated somehow on stage, that could be a real moment. But yes, I've gone with Slovenia there, so that's song 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes, indeed. Following from Slovenia, let's have Finland. Finland is arguably the most crazy, out there, lively performance in the second half. I don't know what your thoughts are, but the second half of semi-final 1 maybe isn't that strong. Maybe. Semi-final 2 is looking a lot tougher. At least it did to me when I was looking at this earlier on. Certainly it's tougher to predict the results for at this stage. But yeah, Finland, Windows 95 man, no rules. I thought the live performance at UMK was bordering on atrocious. So I'm hoping it's a lot tighter at Eurovision. Likely to go through in a 100% public vote semi-final. Coming after Slovenia, you know, if Slovenia is a bit too dark for you and you don't quite get it, Finland's coming up next, so don't worry about a thing. That leaves 2 more tracks, of course. We've had a very lively number in No Rules. Let's slow it down again, that wavelength motion I mentioned earlier. Portugal, the penultimate song, Iolanda with Grito. I think this is going to be so refreshing. You know, I really do think this is going to feel like such a refreshing entry and performance in the Portuguese language. Absolutely beautiful. Some people will loathe No Rules. And the way that I think about this running order business sometimes is that every song, a whole bunch of people are not going to like it for whatever reason. So you've got to stick something on afterwards that maybe is going to be more to their liking, if you see what I mean. Which is why, if you have you know, a pure pop song, having another pure pop song on straight afterwards maybe isn't the best idea, because for some people they're just not going to enjoy it. That's 6 or 7 minutes of music that they just don't really care much for. You've got to give them something that maybe is going to be more to their liking. I'm not really explaining this terribly well, but this is why it's so important to really have it broken up as much as possible, just in terms of aesthetic and the music, nothing else, just the music. Anyway, if you don't like Finland and how camp and crazy that performance is bound to be, maybe something that's a little bit calmer like Portugal will be more to your taste. And then closing semi-final one is Australia. Yes, Australia closed the second semi-final in Liverpool last year, but I haven't really thought about running orders from the past too much, as I said earlier. Of course, this is Electric Fields with 1 Mil Cali 1 Blood, ending the show on a fairly positive and hopeful note. So I think that would be a nice way to just round things off. If indeed you think about how the results usually pan out, which is half of the qualifiers coming from the first half, half coming from the second half, well, I'm not making a very serious prediction here at all. My very rough early prediction for the results video will be up in the next couple of days, all being well. But let's say, okay, 5 are going through from the first half of semi-final 1. Cyprus, Lithuania, Ukraine, Croatia and Serbia. There you go. And then from the second half, another 5. Australia, Portugal, Finland, Slovenia, and maybe Luxembourg. So actually, the qualifiers from the second half might be back to back to back to back to back to back. I don't know. Maybe you could take Luxembourg out and put Azerbaijan in. That could certainly happen. I don't know. But there you go. Just thinking about all of these different factors without really overdoing it. Let's move into semi-final 2, and the first half of semi-final 2 is pretty stacked. There's not really much of a ballad in sight. There's not really a moment to pause for breath. Like I said, we will be having the automatic finalists involved somewhere. Semi-final 2 is on Thursday the 9th of May. All of these 16 countries will vote alongside the rest of the world. They'll vote in semi-final 1 as well. Plus you have France, Italy and Spain performing and voting too. Anyway, in the first half, let me get myself sorted here. The logical choice perhaps to... I know you can't really see this. The logical choice perhaps to open semi-final 2 is the one that I've gone with, which is Austria. We Will Rave by Kalin. Again, like with Cyprus in semi-final 1, get the crowd invested and on side early. A big, pure blast of pop. Kalin's a bit of a choreographer as well. She's worked at Eurovision several times now, including last year, so I think she knows what she's doing. And a lot of people really love this track. Being on first is not at all damaging. It will really get the crowd very excited for what's to come. Following on from that, I mean, do you have Greece, for example? A song in Greek, a very different sound. Is that really going to be on in second place? A lot of people would be furious if so. You wouldn't have Malta, I don't think, following Austria. 2 pop songs. Yes, Austria's song is a lot more emphatic and lively, more so than Malta's, I would absolutely say that, but you'd keep them separate. You could have Czechia, but I've gone with Albania, which is perhaps the most low-key, maybe, of all of the songs in the first half of semi-final 2. I don't know what people's thoughts really are on the revamp. Of course, it's now called Titan, not Zembrendor. Bessa is the performer for Albania. We've had the song for a long time. Fit took place in December last year. I don't mind the revamp. Still not sure Albania are going through, though. Anyway, after that, liven things up again. Czechia Song 3, Pedestal by Aiko. The Eurovision final version of this track is out in a couple of days' time. I don't think it's going to be completely different. It's still going to feel a bit like a rock song, of course. So anyway, Czechia Song 3. So that's 3 songs in English. So now it is time for a song that isn't in English. And because the whole first half is pretty much entirely female acts, besides Nemo for Switzerland, who's non-binary, and the next song I'm about to mention, which is a male-female duo, It is Armenia Song 4. This is Yako by Ladaniva. Some people think this could work first. I don't disagree with that. It would be a very fun way to get proceedings underway. But I've gone with Armenia Song 4. Very different from what goes before it, this sort of slightly angsty rock number, and what comes on after it, which is Song 5, Malta, Sera Bonici with Loop. Like I said, keep Austria and Malta fairly away from each other. Each song needs its opportunity to shine as best it can, and I sometimes feel with running orders, this includes the final as well, sometimes I feel like songs don't really get a chance to shine, because maybe they look or feel or sound like what's happened just before, you know what I mean? Anyway, Malta, Song 5, I've heard the revamp. I'm not sure whether I really enjoyed much more or not. Still think Malta might struggle for public support. They're not going to get any jury support, of course, because the juries aren't voting. After Malta, Switzerland. Switzerland Song 6, The Code by Nemo. Still not sure how you pronounce it, my apologies. This is a contender to win the semi-final. It's a contender to win the whole contest. It's a great song. Blends lots of different styles. Really going to stand out. The staging could be very, very impressive indeed. Then we have Denmark. Saba with Sand. I didn't really know where to put this song. This could be an opener as well, maybe a surprising opener, but then again Denmark did open semi-final 2 in Liverpool a year ago. I feel that Switzerland, big song, big hitter, big staging potentially. Greece, big song, could be a real show-stopping moment. Denmark, I honestly don't think we're going to get much different from DMGP. It's the sort of simpler effort, so it goes in between these two. Might be damaging, I don't know. But anyway, Switzerland, followed by Denmark, and then the first half is rounded out by Marina Sati for Greece. So in terms of the language, English, 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 Armenian, English, 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 Greek. Can't really do much about that, unfortunately. And obviously in terms of gender, it's a little difficult to break it up because it is a very female-heavy first half. But there we go. That is the first half of semi-final 2. Maybe your prediction isn't too dissimilar to that. Then we get the second half underway, and because it's been such a female-heavy first half of semi-final 2, moving into the second half, maybe start off with a bloke. A bloke front and centre. We have Latvia, but I've gone with Belgium. I think Belgium will be on before Latvia myself, before the party's over by Musty. Now, you could have Switzerland, Greece and Belgium all smushed together. That's 3 big hitters in a row. That could happen. It absolutely could happen. But I don't think it will, which is why I put Denmark there. So Belgium opening the second half of semi-final 2. Great song, like it more every time I hear it. It's absolutely one of my favourites, and I'd love to see it maybe win this year. I think the juries will like it in the final, but I think the public might let Musty down. Following on from Belgium, well, liven things up again with San Marino. This is a rock song, 1111 by Megara. I did have this on in 11th place because the song is called 1111. I can see that happening. But yes, San Marino coming after Belgium, a complete change of pace. Then we have a country, and I had no idea where to put them, a bit like Azerbaijan over here in semi-final 1. Nutsa with Firefighter for Georgia. Is this a qualifier? Still don't know. I honestly can't really remember how the song goes at all, and I've heard it 2 or 3 times now. I don't think there's much memorability to this one. I really don't. The choreo will be there, flames, smoke, the whole shebang, but it still might not be enough. Then I'm going with Estonia. So we've had male, band made up of men and women, female, and now we're going to go with an all-male group. Vis minus tampulu with nendes narkoticumides teteamakul midagi. That is going to be song 9, 10, 11, 12. Very fun, very colourful. You know, I can actually see Georgia's performance maybe not being the brightest. Maybe the staging will actually be quite dark, if you see what I mean. Whereas Estonia's, you know, there's going to be lots of flashing lights, choreo, a bit of everything really, the full works. So yeah, Estonia sort of in the middle of the second half of semi-final 2. Then you need something calmer, because Estonia's song, you know, there's quite a bit going on. You look at the Netherlands, that's a bit of a crazy number. Norway, that's quite a big tune, in all honesty. So I've gone with Israel. You know, they are going to have a place in the real-life running order, so they're included here. Hurricane by Eden Golan, coming after Estonia. You know, it's a much slower effort. And so, to me, this seems like a suitable place for it. And then, Norway. Now, Israel and Norway's the look to both of these performances could be fairly similar. You'll remember at MGP, Norway, you know, that was quite dark. We did have a lot of flashing lights. The lead singer on a sort of rotating platform, if I remember. It's been a while since I watched it, actually. But I was thinking about Norway, which is on towards the end of the second semi-final here. How I would maybe liven it up or enhance it just a bit from the MGP performance is, obviously you'll remember at the MGP performance we had these images of like forests and water pop up on the screen a few times. In the final chorus, where things really sort of become a little bit more manic in a sense, on the backdrop, rather than keeping it black, I would have, you know, this sort of image of water rushing in, almost as if it's going to crash over the stage, crash over the audience. That could be a really dramatic, wonderful, wonderful moment, and just sort of heightens that drama and exhilaration in a way that the song brings to the table. So yes, following Israel, Norway. So there we go. And we've gone from English, Spanish, English, Estonian, English, Norwegian, English, Dutch. So it's well broken up in that sense, because the penultimate song is Latvia. They need all the help they can get. It's Dons with Hollow. And again, that might be quite dark in terms of its staging and the backdrop and the lighting. I don't really know. And then, you know, finishing on a big bang with Europapa by Joost Klein, which I think a lot of people will have as the likely candidate to close semi-final 2. It's a great, great pulsating number. I like it more every time I hear it. I'm not on the hype train, though, because I'm well aware the juries may not be a fan of this in the final if it gets there, which is very likely. But yeah, a lot of people are really enjoying that track, as am I, and it ends on quite a touching note, and that could be really powerful at the end of proceedings. So there we go. Lovely stuff. So I'll just briefly recap this again for you. I'm aware this video has been a complete mess, but semi-final 1, Cyprus to open, followed by Poland, Lithuania, Ireland, Ukraine, Croatia and Serbia, and then Iceland, Moldova, Azerbaijan, Luxembourg, Slovenia, Finland, Portugal and Australia closing. On the Thursday, in the second semi-final, Austria to open, followed by Albania, Czechia, Armenia, Malta, Switzerland, Denmark and Greece, followed by Belgium, San Marino, Georgia, Estonia, Israel, Norway, Latvia and the Netherlands. Yes, indeed. Like I said, I haven't really taken into consideration the automatic finalists and where they might be in the running order, but we'll find out soon enough, because I imagine by, well, today is the 16th of March, I would say that by the middle of, not next week, but the week after, maybe by the 27th, 28th of March, we may well have the official semi-finals running orders. And all being well, I'll do a reaction video to those running orders when we have them, as has been the case for a few years on my channel now. Let me know your predictions. Obviously, it's just a bit of fun. Don't take it too seriously. And I'm not involved with the EBU. I'm not one of the producers of this year's show. The people who really are determining the running orders, they will know surely more than we do. They will know about props that might be used, the colour schemes, and obviously the crew may play a part absolutely in where certain countries are as well. Commercial breaks, some countries have those. So putting songs on around a commercial break, certain performances, you know, will work better in that sort of situation. So we have to take all of that into consideration as best we can, but it's difficult because we're not obviously privy to what's happening behind the scenes. Anyway, I enjoy putting that together, and I'll be back soon with another Eurovision 2024 related video. At some point there will be a video in which I make a very rough early prediction for the results, and that could be even messier than the video you've just watched. Thank you very much for watching. Like I said, links in the description to my other social media pages, check them out if you so wish. Apologies if there was any lag. and I'll be back soon with another video. Until then, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and bye for now.